Today on the Brad Link, we are giving you everything you need for your 5-minute wedding day emergency kit. So what does that mean, a 5-minute kit? Let's pretend like you completely forgot to get your emergency kit together before your wedding day. And don't worry if you haven't started yet, because we have a free emergency kit cheat sheet that you can download to use to pack your own emergency kit. But if you didn't give yourself enough time to plan out a super thorough emergency kit for your wedding day, and you've only got 5 minutes to throw everything together, we have a few tips for some must-haves that you need to find in your emergency kit to make sure you're prepared. Must-have number one is definitely going to be medication. Sometimes we're so caught up in something that might happen, we forget about the things that we consistently have to take care of. So if you're on any prescription medication, or anybody in your wedding party, or your fiance, or close parents or VIPs, make sure that they're going to be bringing it on them. It's especially important if it's something that has to do with an allergic reaction, like an EpiPen. Don't forget to throw in some extra meds in there, because it's totally possible you could get a raging headache on your wedding day. So things like Tylenol, eye drops, allergy relief pills, anything that you commonly suffer from, throw it in your kit. The next must-have is something you might not have thought about, and that's paperwork. Making sure that you have a timeline and layout is definitely going to make sure that setup and the event runs smoothly. But there's other paperwork that you might need in an emergency that you might not have thought of. Things like vendor contact info. Don't always trust that your cell phone has service at your venue, and don't always trust somebody that you randomly tell to call your florist, that they look up the correct florist on Instagram, that they contact the correct florist, that they call the right number. Making sure that you have the vendor contact information, not only just for the vendor company, but the actual person that's going to be on site on your wedding day. So if the florist has a delivery person, I want to know who the delivery person is and what their cell phone number is. So if they're not on time, I can call them and see where they are. Next paperwork that you're going to want to have is contracts. Just in case something goes wrong and you don't think that a vendor is fulfilling their contract, before you lose your mind, you might want to look at your contract and make sure that you've got things straight. Then you can bring it to the vendor's attention that they're not fulfilling the contract that you signed, and everything should be hunky-dory, right? Next is emergency info. I hope that you never have to go through it, but you need to know where the closest hospital is to your wedding, especially if it's a destination wedding, or especially if it's a wedding in your hometown, but you're really not familiar with the area. We had somebody break their arm at a wedding once, and this venue had absolutely no cell phone service, no internet service, and everybody was from out of town. It was definitely a headache to make sure that we were sending them in the right direction to the closest emergency room, because we couldn't call for help. If you're going to be in this boat, you need to make sure that you have this information printed and mapped out. Even if you're not in this boat and it's somewhere close in your hometown and you're super familiar with the area, it doesn't mean that all your guests are. If something happens, make it an easy sheet that you hand over to them to send them in the right direction to get help as soon as possible if you can't call an ambulance, or you don't really need to call an ambulance, but they still kind of need to go to the ER. Things like this can happen. Next are just some random must-haves that you must have. That's going to be a lighter, preferably the long kind, so that way you can light candles and sparklers. Also, scissors and multiple pairs for multiple uses, like cutting flower stems, cutting ribbon, and also when somebody steals them, because somebody's definitely going to steal your scissors on your wedding day. Next would be tape, all kinds of tape. I love tape. Masking tape, scotch tape, gaffer's tape, fashion tape, any kind of tape that you can think of, throw it in your kit. Next would be bottles of water. And you might not think that water's super important on your wedding day, but if you run out, especially on a hot summer day, you will find out how essential it is. Having extra bottles of water on hand for your wedding party might help to cool them down during photography throughout the day, and extra bottles of water on hand behind the bar might also help your guests before they overindulge. Next must-have is a sewing kit. The little teeny-weeny sewing kit that has a few safety pins, a few pieces of thread, and also a needle might come in handy if somebody, say, steps on your wedding dress and rips it, which has definitely happened at some of our weddings. Or sometimes the bustle just breaks and you need to sew the bride into her dress so she can enjoy the rest of her night. Finally, a few minor things that you might want to throw in there. A phone charger and a cable to make sure that you can take tons of great pictures during your wedding day. And also an extension cord, because you never know when the power to the venue is going to go out and you're going to have to use the plug from your car to plug in a curling iron so the hair and makeup artist can do the bride's hair. That's also happened on one of our wedding days. So just in case you haven't thought of all the emergencies, we have an extremely thorough emergency day wedding kit checklist that you can download with the link below. And for more expert wedding planning advice, follow us at thebridalink.com.